Hello everyone, my name is Ernest Ondera and I'm very excited to welcome you to Bitcoiners. Bitcoiners is a YouTube channel where I share with you information and news on global financial economy, including Bitcoin and other digital cryptocurrencies. Today, we're going to share with you information and news on the future of US dollar as a world currency reserve and why it's officially dead now. I hope you're enjoying watching this video, and I would be very glad if you click on the subscribe button, like, share, and comment. The US dollar era is fast coming to an end. The US dollar is no longer the world's favorite currency. It never really was. But owing to the dollar's position as the reserve currency, almost all countries swore by its supremacy. Now the dollar's single biggest selling point is being brought to question, that of being the undisputed reserve currency of the world. There are 5 signs that indicate that US dollar is staring at impending doom and that the United States of America might not remain the economic superpower it currently is. There are 5 signs which clearly gives a very strong indication that the US dollar is already in its deathbed as a world currency reserve. These 5 signs include the following. Sign number 1, dollar not safe reserve currency. After Russia launched the war in Ukraine, the Biden administration slapped an unprecedented number of sanctions on Moscow. Almost every sector and sphere of life in Russia was targeted. To make matters worse, Russia's US dollar reserve stored by the Russian Central Bank was seized by Washington. This incident has eroded trust in the US dollar as the global reserve currency and catalyzed significant countries to use alternative in trade and their reserve. China, India, Iran, and Turkey, among other countries, announced already are doing business with Russia in their local currency instead of the US dollar. The world now knows that the dollar reserve of no country are safe. That's the biggest incentive for countries to adopt the dollar as a reserve currency altogether. And sign number 2, Russia frees itself of the dollar. Russia is a commodity superpower. Not only is it the largest exporter of natural gas and second largest exporter of oil, but it's also the largest exporter of lumber, wheat, fertilizer, and palladium. It is the second largest exporter of aluminium and the third largest exporter of nickel and coal. Russia is also the second largest producer and processor of gold after China, accounting for more than 10% of global production. Now, all buyers of Russian commodities, especially oil and gas, must either make payments in rubles, gold, or bitcoins. There is no dollar in the picture. Russia is in the process of working out dollar-free trade with India, China, and several other countries that represent a huge chunk of world's population not using the dollar for trade purposes. That renders the dollar useless and redundant. Demand for the dollar will nosedive, and the currency will collapse. Even European countries, which are supposed allies of the United States, are complying with Russians' dictates of using the ruble to buy oil and gas. This is what has made the ruble the best performing currency of 2022 so far, and also why it has remained immune to Western sanctions. And sign number 3, the fall of petrodollar. Since the dollar had become the world reserve currency by the 1960s and 70s, as well as the benchmark, crude oil transactions were undertaken using dollars. Oil was bought and sold using dollars. Oil is a basic necessity for humanity now. It's what keeps the world running. So by making all oil-related transactions dependent on the dollar, the United States was able to create a huge artificial market for US dollar. But the decision of Russia to sell oil to Europe in rubles and to China and India in yuan and rupee respectively has raised eyebrows around the world. Now China and Saudi Arabia are working out a mechanism where the communist nations buys more than 20% of Saudi's total oil output every year using the yuan instead of US dollars. Just as that were clear, China is the world's largest buyer of crude oil. So the major economies of the world are now dumping the petrodollar system. Where will that lead the dollar as a currency? Down the drain. Sign number 4, the mad spree of money printing. Do you know how much money the United States of America printed during the COVID-19 induced panic that led to the market slumping? A whopping $4 trillion. That was more than the US had printed in 250 years of its existence. Just so you have the necessary perspective. The daily economic output of the United States of America is 54 billion. Yet the Fed was creating more dollars out of a thin air than the economic output of the entire country. Now inflation is soaring. The dollar will soon become cheap. It will lose its value due to a high rate of unaccounted circulation. And sign number 5, the US admits the dollar is dying. The cherry on the cake really is the declaration made by Jerome Powell, the chairman of Federal Reserve. He now says it's possible to have more than one reserve currency. And that's it. That's the declaration. The man tasked with ensuring that no other currency challenges the dollars is now saying that having more than one reserve currency is not that awful idea. The days of the US dollar dominating the world are therefore numbered. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you again in another episode of Bitcoin Art.